capture and do a reflection for the day. So I have my notes. I took the time to listen to all of you, so hopefully you can reciprocate a little bit. But first thing, what I hate the most, why am I here only for the first time? I'm one of your longest tenured customers, and this is my first summit. Again, I've been invited. I did. It was my choice, but really, I'm shocked. I'm surprised. I'm surprised
I
with
don't know what
a
to
lot of
say.
stuff that I've seen today, and I've missed a lot. So I'll
But we
go ahead.
have been on stage together at least 5 times, a couple of times at the FEM EMEA, and then Singapore, and then Dallas.
Yep.
I think one more. At
Seattle.
least.
We,
Seattle, we
share
were
the love.
There you
Yes.
go.
sort of
Voila.
same
Thank you.
stage.
Okay, a few reflection. I'll go through them really fast, and then I'll keep asking them questions. Okay. So Hadija, I like my takeaways were about seamless connectivity and about managing interdependencies. Again, I'm putting my own spin, Hadija. So, but for me, the seamless connection doesn't have to be all tech. People think all tech. For me, seamless connection is a little bit of example of what I've seen in my relationship with AltoVita. Seamless connection for me means when AltoVita folks started connecting with talent acquisition, they started engaging and exchanging data in terms of intern start dates, changes to intern start dates. Can you accommodate one person didn't show up? Can we switch places? All of that, for me, that's seamless integration that I really, really value, because as a corporate buyer, that's one less traffic I want to manage, and it's happening. Thank you, Hadija. Natasha, I like the conversation around fit and ecosystem, and I think that's a voice of all the RMC players when you work with your broad universe of ecosystem participants, and being able to understand how a player like AltoVita can fit in that place, can introduce productivity gains, savings, can raise the level of appreciation. That helps. So thank you, JLL, Nicole. A lot of good stuff for me. I love the message on my interpretation. Authentic sustainability, not disguising cost savings or more greenwashing to do ESG stuff. Travel economy versus business is the same. So for me, it's just disguising cost savings. I hated that. So I'm glad you're putting a spotlight on that, and you're a role model for all of us. Uh, about compliance, the session with Ben, with Cosm, with Sigrid, and the rest, my takeaways were around how we need as a community. My challenge for mobility professionals, travel professionals in the room is we need to flip and stop asking ourselves what do we need for temp living and what our requirements are for them to fulfill that. I think we need to start asking ourselves what data discovery that will lead to decision making that we can derive from temp living data instead. So specific examples, I've made a lot of mistakes in the past, but you hear none of that today. I will hear all the wins. So once upon a time, posted worker directive. We want people to self-disclose, to do all of that. Then we started looking at airfares and people who are booking flights. But of course, that's not good enough for EMEA because people travel. But again, you go as far as what your governments that are auditing you can prove. So we started looking at reimbursements for hotel stays. So if I look at that from inspiration from a mistake once upon a time to looking at if I see all of these data points in terms of where people are staying, where people are going, because with what data is available from temp living, you can immediately extract where they're coming from, where they're going, why, and then start being fueled by your curiosity to have conversations you've never had with your stakeholders, with HRBPs, with business partners. Why are they doing that? Why is this trend happening? Maybe that curiosity will lead to, maybe I can offer something better, a different solution, instead of business travel, prolonged business travel, because with business travel, you can only see it from point to point. You don't probably see it in a rolling 12 months period, because if you can see it bigger picture, then maybe you can do a lot more, deliver a lot more value in terms of engagement with the business. Who knows, it may even open up conversations around How do we build, buy, borrow resources? What's happening with our global footprint? If we're shrinking small offices, then that means more business travel. You get to be part of those conversations. And coming from my past, believe me, those are the conversations you would want to have because those are the most fulfilling. So far, so good? Making sense? Reflections, that's what I go through when I attend sessions like this. And those are my takeaways. Okay, face check. Okay, from the panel of Apurva, we have, oh, I love this, but some of these were answered in the sessions after. How we have to transcend looking at what temp living needs to be, all of that. And then I captured a note on, it was an idea that was fulfilled immediately by the last session, temp living versus destination education push. Maybe you can do that, but I think you've already done parts of that, so bravo. Temp living versus pre-boarding. There's a lot more you can do with temp living, and I'm a proponent of that because of what we've been through in Kazakhstan, in India, by accident. Now we can be more intentional and purposeful. If you let people get their sign-on bonus or lump sum, you don't get to do a lot of that. You don't get to co-locate them. You don't get to do more pre-boarding activities where, as they did, payroll onboarding, benefits onboarding in those temp living. Then you can sell more value to your customers instead of just selling beds and homes, etc. You're selling more. You're introducing more value. Then you cannot buy that with lump sum. You can only buy that when you sign up for a program. Then you're not really abdicating your role as mobility. You're an expert. You're selling something. And then my biggest takeaway was all other services. Oh, my biggest takeaway from this spending this week with AltoVita, I spent some time with them yesterday, was all the other services that I did not know they were doing for our program or they're doing for your program that I will eventually retroactively take credit for. So I do that. If you don't, William, right, it will just go to waste. Somebody has to take credit. And if they're not, then I will. So a few things that I've discovered, things that you can add on to AltoStay. Examples, airport transfers. They can make those arrangements. They've arranged, can you negotiate meals as part of this? Social evenings for if I'm doing group stay, etc. for a big group. Can you do somebody, he's not here. I thought about this. It's my idea. Dry cleaning credits, laundry services from yesterday, right? They're able to do that. We're not even thinking about that. If you do that, why not? That's value. And then on Alto Stay, on the AI stuff, all of a sudden my head got into a space of imagine, because I've been 8 years global head of mobility. I was doing Asia prior to that. I couldn't imagine being in a room with this safe venue, AltoVita event anyways. I couldn't imagine being engaged by Oakwood in the past. Can we have this conversation on how to make this better for you? I did not ever have conversations, even when our program was 7,000 big, with conversations with their competitors to talk about how can we design this differently for you, etc., etc. None of those. And then to be immersed in an environment like this today, 5 years after, yeah, really empowering. Alto Stay for me, I look at it as a starting point, and the possibilities are what excites me. Bringing and the core part of that for me isn't about the product that you saw, but for me it was the DNA of AltoVita, about when they started talking about doing design sessions with customers. Since temp living providers don't do that. DSP providers don't do that either. William, we should do more of that in our community. So yeah, but that's core to the DNA, and that's the partner that, again, looking back, I'm now reflecting back, I'm really proud to have in our corner. Uh, it's been a fulfilling journey, even as a customer coming in early to see the growth, what Karolina described earlier, 80% year over year, and I've seen the very beginning. It's really fulfilling, even as a customer being part of this journey, and I take pride in our relationship. So I have a few questions for them, but so far so good, resonating with you, connecting with you. A few things. No, it's all them, but I'll take credit as well. Thank you. So, one of my biggest takeaways today is how technology is core to a lot of what you've done. It's front and center, and you've used technology to do cost savings, to do employee experience. What else is out there? Because it's core to who you are. You have applied it in two dimensions that are important for us. What does that look like? Impressions on that, and what's next?
Yeah, so to me, first of all, if I would have the opportunity to actually speak on, or rather, if AI assistant would be able to speak on my behalf, that would give you the neutral version of how I feel about this. But unfortunately, I don't have the opportunity. So it truly feels today like we're finally building that dream and we're leaning towards the real employee experience. Because I will be very honest, because we can afford to do it. This is our event. Very often we are stuck in terms of discussions on many global stages at the duty of care level. Duty of care level and of course safety, security of employees is absolutely key. It's the barrier to entry. But we keep talking about that without really thinking about the myriads of journeys and feelings and wants that one person has in 1 hour. And this is where we want to do this, and this is where we want to go with our technology. The personalization is absolutely key, and this is what you've seen. It's really just the very beginning of those dreams come true, really, for the employees and the traveling families, really. So I would say, for me, it comes down to a mindset change, ultimately. I'm not going to enumerate various features that we're going to launch in future, but for me, it's really about the industry mindset change overall, and leaning in, acknowledging that duty of care is a must, but we should do more as an industry at this stage.
That's again core to, there's a lot of cores to what I like about this journey, technology, using technology, the duty of care focus. Again, in the past, people just say that on stages, but you make it real with the products. So, transformation journey, you've definitely not just scratch. I was speaking to somebody, I hated it when people talk about AI in conferences. You have not talked about AI, you have shown us how you are applying AI, but now I'll challenge you again. How has AI amplified, and what else is out there in terms of how AI can amplify the transformation journey that you are on? What you are on, everybody talks transformation, everybody's doing some transformation, but the transformation that you have been on, from buying the GoDaddy thing to right now a website to something real, something AI applied, how has AI amplified that transformation journey, and then what's next? Aspirational, something that will excite us to come back next year.
Yeah, I mean, like Karolina said, let's go back to the DNA, right? I mentioned earlier in the presentation that who we are is really the mindset. It's that agility, transparency, and velocity. 2 months ago, we didn't have what Anton showed today. We were just inspired by the workshop that we attended at the Microsoft campus. And what he's done is essentially a true reflection of the AltoVita DNA. We are inspired, but we're going to take it 5 times, a few more notches up than the rest of the industry. And I think hopefully you've seen this today all throughout our presentation. Even the AltoStay, I dare say, we're not the first to launch an app, but I know AltoStay will be the best app in the industry.
You want to add something? We're good.
I think one thing that we did not mention at all today is really how can we elevate communication between employees and the ecosystem. And right now, a very concrete application that we're right now looking at is how can we reflect our communication to basically be the type of communication the employee would actually expect from us. So we have type of employees who do require an amazing novel written to them about where they're going to stay and how things are going to be happening and what kind of amenities they will have access to. And then there's people like me who are super impatient and they really hate like the team knows, reading long paragraphs. So it's a one-liner and that's it. And that can be the concrete application of AI, reading in advance how the relocating employees or family want to communicate with you.
The privilege that I have over the last 12 months was the privilege of getting to know both of them a lot more. We know each other for many years. We met 2020, 21.
2021 January.
That's when we started the relationship, or that's when you started to pitch?
That's when we started to pitch, January 2021.
Yeah. So, but again, over the years, the privilege for me is getting to know the fierceness. But for me, the part that I hate is how people, the industry may underestimate, the both of you may underestimate AltoVita. I hate that. I advocate for, again,
That's the powerful weapon,
women.
being underestimated.
Love that. Love that. Love that. Embrace that. Being underrated and all of the other stuff. So I want to ask you a series of segmented questions about what's next, but I'll segment it. What's next for all of us on the global mobility side? What should we expect? Big next aspirational goals for you for the mobility sector, and then we go business travel sector, and then I'll go one round after that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think we've already sort of covered it when there were so many insightful questions at the AltoStay app. Our vision is not to be an expert of everything. We want to own this space, extended stay accommodation for mobility, and we want to introduce the business travel segment of this wonderful segment, which unfortunately majority of business travel programs don't currently have. And then extending that vision, we've had conversations with business travel leaders over the past year. We've been educating them about our vision to finally replace or offer an alternative viable option to the likes of CVEN, which is an RFP negotiating tool. We want to own that journey so that we can own the price. As you've seen today in the Alto Core presentation, we have the ability to store negotiated rates. Today, those rates are being negotiated by tools like CVent, and then unfortunately, once the rates are negotiated, the hotel operators or the service apartment operators, they just get an email from that tool. Hey, congratulations, Marriott Jersey, here are the rates. And then poor Marriott Jersey has to go into the blue GDS screen and input everything manually. And that's the start of the journey. So we want to be on a journey to replace that so that we can own the experience from the get-go, from when the rates are negotiated, all the way to booking, all the way to completion of the stay, and more, like services, extension, and so on and so forth, as we already discussed.
How can we help you get there, as mobility professionals in the room?
Excellent question. This was
I try.
the CTA I had written down as my note. Kerwin has been such a valuable advocate for AltoVita. That January 2021 was really, we didn't know this, Kerwin challenged us in so many ways. We had to do, I think, 4 or 5 rounds of diligence with his team. And I remember we filled out that spreadsheet of 120 locations of HPE, and we had to insert Alto search link one by one. But through that resilience, dedication, and really showcasing Kerwin that we can earn his trust in growing from one region to another until we manage HPE program globally and exclusively. His advocate has been so incredible and has, through the years, powered our growth. And we have so many of you in the room today, Nicole from JLL, Karen from NBC Universal, and then Valeria from J&J, and so many of you have done us so much. You don't know how much impact your words mean to AltoVita. And so the CTA, the call to action that we would like to ask you is support us, spread the words, let us have that snowballing effect to the whole entire industry, both mobility and business travel.
One quick pitch before we go business travel. I've always believed being in the role, where we are corporate-wise, that it was also an obligation on my part that, again, for us, making a decision, buy from one provider to another, put them in our panel or not, it's a decision we don't lose sleep over. It's an easy call. I don't go through an RFP. I just make that decision. It's giving somebody else a break. And then the privilege and the learning was, at some point in your career, you'd think about, I have to do a little bit of good for society. I have to do some advocacy. And for me, it was simple. It was trying to figure out how to make my daughter proud. And then I started figuring out how to support women-led, women-owned, etc. businesses, small business, etc. Because the big providers, they don't need me. I don't matter to them. Maybe I do, but I don't matter as much in terms of difference. So I look at it as an obligation of all of us. We are in roles. We are in a privileged position to be able to do all of that. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. And they've earned their way one location to the next. Next question, transformation. What's next on the business traveler side?
Sorry, before we go to business travel, there was one important item that we forgot to mention, because we certainly mentioned a lot about the wonderful corporate bias, but we have so many incredible relocation management companies in the room, and we have quite a few. Actually, no, we have just one a service apartment provider. So I just would like to really welcome the entire community to be very open to what we showed you today. Let us have the conversations, how we can work and elevate the experience together, because we don't want to be the only sole runner on our journey if others are interested in playing violin. We need to be an orchestra and play together.
I wholeheartedly agree.
The one thing I'm excited about later on is how the mobility side, which I still advocate for, and I don't sit in anymore, I support, is how we learn from your experience once you dabble into the business traveler side with Jose, with Fidelity, and hopefully other logos, because I know based on your DNA, there will be learnings and you will fail fast, learn and improve, and we will benefit from that as well. But go ahead, Vivi, about what's next for business travel.
So I just wanted to echo what Karolina was saying with regards to the whole ecosystem. We've all been wowed and so heavily impressed by AI and how it will shape the future. But as I mentioned before as well, if everything is so fast, then the competitive landscape will change entirely. So what have we built in the past 8 years is really this ecosystem, the collaboration that we have with you. Basically, this room is what we've built in the past 8 years. With regards to what's next for AltoVita, as I mentioned, we're just going to be an expert in this domain. We want to own it. We want to be listed on the NASDAQ one day alongside Airbnb, Booking.com, and Expedia. Maybe not, there we say 50 to 100 billion valuation. It seems like a long shot for now, but if we were to look at the market, the numbers stack up. All of you know and understand the kind of span you have, and that's just your span. If you do the math, there is a huge possibility here, and I suppose we need your support. We need all of you to really help us get there. And I think the key to success for us is to extend our market, so not just from extended stay, but also to the short stay by owning the prices from negotiated rates, and that allows us to capture not only just the extended stay, but also all the hotel programs that are managed by Fortune 500 companies.
And I'm sure, again, that spending, 5-10 billion, is aided by a lot of the tariffs going on around the world. So with that, on behalf of a grateful community, thank you for hosting all of us. Thank you for giving us an inspiration. But more importantly, thank you for being role models to generations and next generation of business leaders, women-led, women leaders in our community. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.